In this video I'm going to show you how to work with collectible objects. So we're going to do this in two different ways. I'm going to show you how to use collectible objects that allocate score. I'm going to show you collectible objects that you can use to store a variable. So in my case, my game is going to store the number of objects that I pick up that are ship parts. I'm going to show you how to use collectible health or lives, same thing, and I'm finally going to show you how to work with moving between levels with a key card and colliding with the door. So as you can see at the moment, I have, sorry about that. As you can see, I've got a few collectible objects that I've put in my game. So these are thrusters for my escape pod. This is the key card that I'm going to use. Over here I've got a heart, which is going to allocate me extra health. So we're going to look at how we do that. So we're going to start by looking at the hearts for the extra life, or for boosting health. So the first thing I'm going to do is to create some variables in my game object. So by now you should have a game object, and most of your code now will be going into this game object. So this is my game object. This is where we do all the game calculations. It's good practice to put as much as you possibly can into the game object, because that is where all the processing for the game takes place. So everything that's been written to the screen is in my game object at the moment, and I've allocated some variables for my health and my all lives, depending on what you're going to be using in your game. So you might have lives in here. I've got health because I'm using a health bar. So I'm going to just add in two variables for now that I'm going to be using to keep track of the score and to keep track of the number of parts that I've collected, because what I want to do in my game is when I collect an object, I want to allocate score and I want to keep a tally of the number of objects that I've collected. Okay, so these are the variables I'm going to put in. So player score and parts. Okay, so I'm setting them currently to 0 for each of them, because obviously we want to start the game when it's created, because this is a create event with a 0 score and no parts collected. So what I'm going to have to do is to, on my player object, which is down here, I'm going to create an event that when I collide with the heart, it gives me extra health, provided that I'm not at maximum health, because obviously I don't want to allocate any more health if I'm at 100%. So I'm going to create a collision event with my heart object. So you see my heart object is over there. So I'm going to add an event, and it's going to be a collision event with the object heart. Okay, and this is the code I'm going to use. I'll explain it to you now. So what I'm going to do is, with my P health, okay, I'm going to either add 20 to my health or a maximum of 100. So what this statement here does, it looks at the P health value, okay, which is my current health value, plus 20. So if that was 100, that would be 120, or 100, and it takes the minimum of those two values. Okay, so it's setting my P health to either this value or this value, depending on which one's smaller, or if they're both the same, then it takes either value. Because like I say, I don't want to allocate any more than 100 to my P health value. Let's go back just onto the create event, and you can see P health up here, okay, is my health value. Okay, so it's called objgame.phealth because it's in the game object. All right. So just to recap, it'll take the minimum of either 100 or the current value of P health plus 20. So whichever of those two is smallest, okay, that's what it's going to allocate to objgame P health. And then what I'm going to do then with the other object, because don't forget this is in the player object. So with the other object, which is the heart, because I'm colliding with the heart, it'll destroy the instance. So let's see if that works. So let's run the game. Okay, so in my game, so the first thing I want to do, you can see these aren't being collected yet. The first thing that I want to do is to make sure that I've got some health that's been deducted from my character from colliding with the enemy. So you can see now I'm down to 80% health. Okay. So what I want to do is to collect the hearts. If I drop, now I'm down to 60. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to collect the hearts. So that should go up to 80. There we go, and the heart's been destroyed. Great, so that works. So let's just test it if I collect the heart with 100% health. Oh, that's not going to be any good. Let's try again. Run the game again. If I collect the heart, so you can see that the heart's been collected, but my health still stays at 100%. So that's working just as we like. So what I want to do now is to work with the other collectible objects and see, to show you how those work. Okay, so in my game you can see I've got these two thrusters, and what I want to do is when I collect those thrusters I want them to disappear. I also want them to allocate me a score, and I want to keep a tally of the number of objects that I've collected, because the idea of my game is when I get to the end level, if I haven't collected all the parts, I can't escape the ship and I lose. Okay, so that's how my game is going to work. So back into the workspace, we've already allocated two variables for score and called P-score and parts. So we're going to use those variables and we're going to create, it's a simple process. I'm going to go onto my player object and I'm going to add another collision event. So, and I would apply this collision event to every object that I wanted to have scoring. Okay, different collision events for each object. So I'm going to add a collision event with the object, and I'm going to use the thruster. Okay, this is the code that's going to go in for my thruster. Okay, so this is what how this is going to work. So for my thruster, I'm going to add 100 points for every thruster I collect, and that's going to change the variable P-score, which is in the create event in obj_game. Okay, I'm also going to add 1 to the parts every time I collect an object, and that's again in the parts variable in obj_game. So those are parts P-score in obj_game. And what I want to do is whenever I collect an object, I want to destroy the thruster. Alright, so that's what I want to happen. So let's see if that works. So you can see currently my score is set at 0, so if I collide with this you can see it goes up to 100 and it destroys it. Okay, I collide with that one, it goes up to 200, and I've also then got the variable of 2 scored or recorded in my items count. So that also works fine. So the next thing we're going to look at is how we move between levels. So you can see that I've got level 1 here, so I'm going to zoom out of that just so you can see. Okay, there's my level 1. Okay, and I've got a door at the end which I've allocated as a sprite, and then created the object for the door, which is over here somewhere there, obj door. And on level 2, okay, all I've got is a floating door at the minute because I haven't finished working on this level, and what I've got is a couple of platforms and my character, where my character is going to spawn into level 2. So it's important that your character is where you want it to spawn in. So to start with then, I'm going to create another variable because I want to record whether or not the key has been collected, because I don't want to be able to go to the next level unless I've collected the key card. So the first thing I'm going to do then is to come back into my workspace. I'm going to go back onto my create event for my obj_game, and I want to record whether or not I currently have the key. So I'm going to set up a variable called hasKey. Okay. Now this is a global variable. it's a global variable because it's used all the way through the game. I could have done exactly the same with these variables. I could have set these to global variables. And when I refer to this now, rather than obj underscore game, okay, I can just type global.hasKey. Alright, so it's just a different way of referencing back to the game object. So like I said, you could have done the same with these. You could have had obj, you could have had global.pscore and global.parts. It's just that I did these in a different way. So I'm going to create a step event, because all the processing for this, for whether or not I've collected the key, is going to be in my game object. So I'm going to create a step event. So I'm going to add an event, step. And the first thing I want to do is to write some code that's going to be picking up the key. So this is, because I'm not using a collision event for this, I'm coding it, it looks slightly different. So I'm going to paste the code in just so you can see how this works. Okay, so let's explain what this does. Obviously these are just comments for picking up the key. So this first line with obj player, what that's doing, that's essentially pretending that we're inside the player object. So with obj player, so everything that runs after this is being run as if I was in the player object. Okay. So everything inside these curly braces is being run as if I was actually inside the player object. So what this is looking at is this is setting a variable called key, okay, and it's checking to see where my current player is, X and Y, is there a key object, okay. So if there is a key object, what's going to happen then, okay, it's going to allocate the key as being collected. So this line means that if the player is touching the key, then set the hasKey variable, which is a global variable, to true, and then we're going to destroy the key. So this line checks to see if there's a key where we are, okay, or checks to see if there's a key at the place where we currently are. If there is, okay, so if there's a key there, because this is if there's not equal to a key, then we're going to set the key value hasKey to true, and then we're going to destroy the key, okay, with key instance destroy. Okay, so let's see if that works then. So we're looking to see if we can collect the key. So here we go. I'm going to jump up and collect the key, and there you see the keys disappeared. So the next thing we need to do is to code so as when we reach the door, and I still haven't coded the collision yet for the enemy here, so it can walk straight through that. When I currently touch the door, okay, nothing happens even though I have the key. So what I need to do is to code in the next part of this, so as I move to the next level, if I have the key and touch the door. Okay, so the code that I'm going to paste in here, okay, and I'll explain what this does. So this is very similar to the code that we did for picking up the key. So the first thing it does, it checks to see if we have the key. So if we do have the key, what's going to happen, it's going to, again, from the point of view of the player object, it's going to check and to see if there is a door where the player is currently standing. Okay, if there is a door, if the player is actually touching the door, if a door was found, then we're going to move on to the next room. So from the point of view of the player, is there a door and are we touching it? Okay, if we are touching the door, then we're going to go to the room next. Go to next, that moves to the next room, only if we have the key. Okay, or I put this in a comment here, we could use room go to door dot target room. So if I had wanted to move to room 3 instead, I could do door dot room 3 if I had a room 3. Okay, so that's what this bit of code is doing. So let's see if we now move to the next room. So let's play the game. Okay, so I've now got my collections, I've gone down to 80 health, So I'm going to collect the heart. It takes me back to 100 health. Nothing happens with that one at the moment. So if I move and touch the door, okay, you can see that it moved me into level 2, sorry. The reason why I moved so far into the door, I'll just show you that now, is because on my sprite object for the door, I've set a collision event because, not a collision event, sorry, a collision mask. Because what I want, and then there's a collision mask, I want to make sure that I'm into the door before I actually sort of move to the next level. So this is the collision mask, so it's not until the player touches this, the two collision masks touch each other, do we move to the next level. So that's how we work with collectible objects. I shall see you in the next video.